When making poppers for fly fishing for bluegills and bass, it's not hard to do. Just depends on how much time and expense you want to put into it. If you want your poppers to look like this one that we have made, which is more like the store-bought ones, then you need to go out, you need to buy the vise. You need to buy this tool here, which will hold your feathers so when you spin them, they spiral out like this. This tool here for tying off your line when you add these feathers so you can tie them off. And a tool here for holding your thread. Then you have your lacquer paints and your clear coats. Now what I'm going to show you is how to make poppers much cheaper, much quicker, and a lot easier, and you don't need all these tools. What I'm going to do is show you how to make poppers out of these 6mm foamy sheets that you can buy at Hobby Shop. You can also use your permanent markers and you can put colors on these. To start with, we're going to cut out sections of our 8mm thick sheet here, 1/4 inch wide, 1/2 inch long, and the thickness is going to be the 6mm for our popper. Once we have this cut out, then we'll start to trim this in the form that we want. Now we've cut out two pieces, 1/4 inch by 1/2 inch thickness of the foamy sheet itself, 6mm. Now we need to take these two pieces and we will carve them out in the form of the popper that we want. To form these, we're going to bring it back to a smaller diameter in the back part of our popper and on an angle down. The bottom we're not going to touch, we're going to leave that flat. Take these top two corners, round them off. Now you can start to see the shape of our popper. Now what I want to do is start coming down on an angle here. And trimming off that, going up to the top. And side, same thing, we'll start coming down on an angle. Now you can start to see the shape of your popper. So now how do we connect the hook to this? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to make a cut through this body, making a deeper cut in the top of the head of the popper. So my hook's on a small angle and I'm going to come right out the tail. Just a small cut coming out the back end of that popper. Now when we place our hook in there, we want our eyelet right up to the top of the popper. There you go, your hook set down in there. Now we need to take some 5-minute epoxy and epoxy that hook in, and that's the start of your popper. So what I use for my epoxy to apply my hooks into my rubber bodies is just quick set 5-minute epoxy. It works great. Typically I like to do 5 to 8 of these at a time, because when you squirt some of this out, at minimum that's what you're going to have for epoxy, otherwise you're going to waste it. Alright, now we got our 5-minute epoxy mixed up. We want to take some of this epoxy and we want to put it right down into that cut that we made. Next, take our hook. It's a size 10 hook. Put our hook in there, make sure the eyelet's up to the body. Now all we got to do is let that dry. Now here we got both our poppers epoxied. So now we'll take our permanent markers, and like I said, these come in a lot of different colors. We'll make some eyes, we can put some stripes down them, we can do anything we want to these poppers and color them. It's that easy. No painting whatsoever. Like I said, it won't look professional, but the bluegills don't care. Then we'll show you how to add some flashabou or some spider legs for legs or tails. Now we've got our popper epoxied with our hook in it. So again, we're going to use our permanent markers. This one here, we'll put black eyes on. You see how easy that paints? So now you got eyes on both sides. Don't need to use any clear coat or anything. This is good. Maybe we take a little bit of red and make some red flare stripes down it. Color is all up to you, what you want to do. Once we got that on, what else can we play with? We can put a green stripe right down the back, right at the top. So I won't color that one anymore. Like I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. Now all I got to do is show you how to add the dressing on the back. On this one, I'm going to put some gold eyes on her. And I'm going to go with some dark green stripes. Then how about just a red cap? Again, color is up to your imagination. Now that we've got our purple bodies painted up a little bit, what you really want to look for is do not get any epoxy into these eyelets here. It's very hard to remove. There is a tool that you can buy for less than $1, I think, to remove that. It's better off if you just don't get any in there. We have the body all epoxied in. We've got plenty of epoxy. We put epoxy in the hook, and then we covered the top of this with epoxy. So it came back and did epoxy twice there. Then used our permanent markers. I used a gold one here, red one for a cap, and then I just took green and made some stripes on it. But I'm sure you're more artistic than I am, so use whatever colors you want. Now what I want to do is we're going to take a needle and we're going to put a piece of thread on it, small amount of thread, tie it in a knot, and we're going to push that through this sponge body and out. And through the loop, we'll put some flash glue, we'll pull it through on both sides so it hangs down, and that will be your tail feathers or your legs. You can also take, and we can take our needle from the tail and go all the way through to the top, and we can pull in flash through and let it hang out straight. Then we're going to epoxy those. If we go straight through here, we're going to epoxy both sides of this hole. If we go in here, we're going to epoxy the back side of this. Now here's the needle we're going to use. We put a little bit of thread through it. I tied a knot in it. That's what we're going to use to feed through our popper body now. I have to take our popper body, go right through the center of that body, right on through, just like that. Gonna pull her through. Now we need to put some flashaboo on here. We can also use rubber legs if we want and let those drag behind. I do like flashaboo. It is a little tougher. Now to illustrate, I'm going to use rubber legs here. So I will cut that off. I will feed that through our loop here. And on the rubber leg, you don't want a whole lot there. You don't want to double up too long. Now you just want to pull that through. You can see how that leg's coming through. You can pull that leg through. Again, you can do this with flashaboo also. Now you can cut this off, short like this. You can separate these legs. Both sides here. And you can buy these legs at like Cabela's, for instance. Now I've got legs or back tails. Cut them off just a little bit. And you can say, I'm done with that. Now what I want to do is I want to take this out and I want to show you what it looks like with some flashaboo. A little more dressing. Now here's some flashaboo. Got our popper body. We've run our needle through it again. Bring our loop down. We're going to put our flashaboo through this loop here. Got my flashaboo through my loop. Pull her through. Trim her off equal on each side. So now you got some flashaboo there. What we want to do now is we want to epoxy. Put epoxy in both these holes here. Push some in there. And that will stay. And now you've got a popper with what looks like some wings. Don't need a lot of flashaboo. That will work just fine right there. Another thing you can do, here's our second popper. All epoxied up, all painted. We can take our needle and we can do the same thing back here. We can go right through the back end, push her all the way through the front end, Pulling our thread through. Now we can put some Flashabou in this loop here and pull this into there, and then again we want to epoxy that too. So if I just take a little bit of Flashabou here, one thing to do in this Flashabou is wet it, put it in your mouth, and get all these edges together like that. That will feed right through that thread there very easily now. And then go ahead and pull your thread and pull your Flashabou right in. Now you've created a tail of Flashabou. Now you could add a tail. You can go this way and add your small legs back like we did. Want to throw some epoxy into there. Throw some epoxy into this hole here. Once we got our epoxy in, top here, just trim them off. You don't need those. And there, now we got a popper with some tail feathers. Now again, this does not look real professional. Does not look close to like your stores. We can even trim off that a little bit like that. But it works. It's quick. It's easy. It's cheap. You got a few pennies into a popper, and the bluegills like them just as well. Now on this popper, to finish off, I added the wings here, and then I added some tail feathers here. Again, you can apply as much Flashabou as you want or as little as you want. This is plenty. You epoxy these in, they will stay. And not as fancy as a store-bought popper, but works just as good. This Flashabou will give it a little more flash in the water. You'll catch just as many bluegills, and you can make these a lot cheaper. Now we've completed our 2 poppers. I finished with the Flashabou, as you can see, took the rubber legs out. Flashabou works great for these poppers, for tail feathers and wings. I hope this helps. I hope it helps you save a lot of money. It will catch you a lot of fish. You can see my other videos for catching fish on all my homemade baits. You can see that on my site, mwoutdoors.com, where I show catching bluegills on the fly rod